Hello, everybody. Stu Smith here, going live. I hope you are doing well on this long weekend, Memorial Day, and taking some time to remember maybe those you have personally known who have made the ultimate sacrifice in our military. Um, Maybe those you don't really know and you just want to learn more about them. Nothing wrong with that. I would like to learn a new story every year about someone who is buried in a military cemetery, um, and what their story is. So it's one of those days. Yes, it's fun to go do the Murph and do all that, but it's even more than that. Yes, we're honoring a group of SEALs who made the ultimate sacrifice on that mountain back in June 28, 2005. Michael Murphy's platoon. And nothing wrong with that. I think that is great. But we also need to be understanding that it is a generational loss. These sacrifices go back generations, and we are free today because of them. So, it's important to remember that and put it in context. Yes, I plan on enjoying my day with my family, doing a great workout, cooking out, maybe going downtown, watch a Memorial Day parade. You know, that's cool stuff, and you should do it and be glad you do it. If you're spending the time at the beach, great. Take a moment. Just remember why you get to have that extra day of the weekend to do things you like to do. So I am taking questions today. However, before I do, um, I like to start these Mondays with how my week is going to look. So, as far as our training cycle that we are doing, we are on uh, a fourth week of the cycle. So that means every 4 weeks we kind of change from calisthenics and cardio, and we throw in a block of strength training, which is really meant to be more as a deload focus of um, running progression. So we run a little bit less, probably drop, the running by like 33% just this week, but we add some weights. Today's Murph, however, threw a little curveball into that. Because normally this week we'll do like a bench press, some heavy pulls, overhead presses and rows, things like that on Monday, and then on Tuesday we'll do a leg day. However, with the Memorial Day Murph that we just did, um, we just decided to do the Murph. Tomorrow's going to be a cardio day, no lifting tomorrow since we went pretty high volume on the doing the Murph, 100 pull-ups, 200 push-ups, 300 squats. We wound up doing an extra 4 miles of running, stopped off at another set of pull-up bars and did a little burpee pyramid until failure. So you did one pull up, one burpee, two pull ups, two burpees, three, three, four, four, five, six, and just see how high you can go. I think most everybody got over 10, a couple guys at the 15 mark, and then we finished the perimeter of the Naval Academy over by the cemetery and finished our day there. So, with that kind of volume, you don't probably want to lift later or even lift tomorrow because you pretty much did everything. You could probably add in some deadlifts, some hip hinges or something. But we're just going to do a cardio day tomorrow, probably do a regular hill day, followed by some maybe swimming with fins. And on Wednesday, it'll be our mobility day, which is just one of those days where we really focus on several things, not just non-impact cardio and stretching, but we focus on treading water, technique of swimming, underwater swimming, and make it more of a recovery day slash mobility day slash flexibility day slash technique day. Um, and what I have found is that people who have a hard time treading are typically lacking in ankle, knee, and hip mobility. So we really hit that hard, and then we go test it out in the pool deck afterwards and mix in some more stretching on the pool deck as well. So it has been working really well. I mean, we've had guys who couldn't tread to save their life. And I was just watching them tread underwater. I'm like, you're just not doing it right at all. I mean, can you get your leg up here? And they couldn't get their leg up there. And so I just deduced that that was a mobility issue versus, just not knowing how to tread, kind of both, but it was mobility was limiting their ability to um, actually get into a powerful breaststroke kick, which is really egg beater is an alternating breaststroke kick. It's not a spinning your legs in a circle like that. So that has made a huge difference in people's ability to successfully one egg beater, but also pass treading tests with clothes on. Other drown proofing events will also do that, and we'll even do some knot tying type skills as well. So when I say it's a technique day, it is a technique day. It is not a day off. It's a recovery day. It's easier than your average workout, but you're working on things that you need to still master without a whole lot of effort. So that's my mobility day. Then after that, we go back to an upper body day. This one will be, since it's a lift cycle, this one will be a lift, bench, weight vest pull-ups, rows, weight vest dips, some overhead presses, short runs, not long runs. And then we'll probably do a little bit of swim afterwards. Friday will be a beach run or ruck, depending on how you want to spend your 4 miles. And then we'll lift um, a mix of everything, kind of crawls, carries, deadlifts, kettlebell swings, kettlebell squats, maybe even some jump squats. Something we're trying to do also is be able to do a 1/4 mile of lunges and not be sore the next day. So that is taking some time to build up to be able to do that. But it is getting easier. Even me at 53, I am able to do 1/4 mile lunges and not be sore the next day. But it's taken some time to do that. And then Saturday we're going back to the track workouts that we've been doing. This time, instead of 10 400s, we're doing 5 or 6 800s, and we're trying to hit those pace times. Everyone gets a little bit faster than the previous one. We'll see how far we can go on that. Then we'll swim afterwards. So that's my week in advance. Yeah. So I send newsletters out with those workouts details in them at the Stu Smith Fitness membership link on my StuSmithFitness.com page if you guys are interested in those. And there's an archive of over 4 years of weekly workouts. So I haven't counted all the weekly workouts, but there's beginner, intermediate, there's advanced, like spec ops level workouts for the last 4 years. Or this is the 4th year we're working on it, so it's about 3.5 years. So building up. So Jackson asks, what do I know about bore tack selection? Is there a water element? Yeah, that's a good question. I did a podcast with Jeff, and we actually interviewed a bore tack officer for that. He's actually a trainer for that, and their selection is really hard. It is more rucking based and load bearing based than it is water based. So I would definitely still, add swimming to the workout, but um, you're going to run and ruck your ass off. I mean, it goes pretty high. I mean, it's up there with like hell week level mileage for Bortax selection of running and rucking and load bearing. Um, so they want people strong, they want people being able to carry a ruck, and you're going to go for many, many miles in that. Um, I'll find out exactly on that. To my knowledge, I think there is a water element. I just can't remember off the top of my head. Um, I will say this, that the guys who were running the program were using my tactical strength book. There's a book I wrote called Tactical Fitness and a book I wrote called Tactical Strength. You can find them on Amazon. They were using the tactical strength to prepare for BORTAC, because it is pretty much all of their elements of testing are in that. And um, I can send you a link on this. I'll put it in the description. See, tactical strength, fitness test, and there's also tactical fitness. Let me see if I can find it off real quick. 2 programs you need. Yeah, this is it. Perfect. So, check out this article I wrote in here. It doesn't have anything necessarily on Bortax specifically, but if you take a look, you scroll down, read the article, there's several tactical fitness tests out there that are really involving multiple exercises from running, rucking, swimming, lifting, calisthenics, uh, plyometrics, shuttle runs, all those things. The combat fitness test, Army Marine Corps, the Ranger physical assessment test at RPAT, operator fitness test for the Air Force Special Warfare, human performance test that the Navy SEAL, SWIC, EOD diver community uses. And then fire service uses a really good tactical fitness test called the Candidate Physical Aptitude Test, the CPAT. Where you're in gear and you're climbing stairs and moving ladders and throwing a hammer around. Really cool stuff. But if you take a look, you scroll down, you'll see all the events of those tests. And then you'll see the tactical strength test in there. And my tactical strength test is this: it's a 500-meter swim, any stroke, kettlebell swing or snatch for 5 minutes with 30% of your body weight, barbell squat 1 to 2 times your body weight, pro agility test, 1 rep max bench, 1.5 to 2 times body weight deadlift, pull-ups, weight vest pull-ups, shuttle run, 12 by 25 yard, 300 yard shuttle run, strongman hang from a bar, like how long can you hang on a pull-up bar, and then a 4-mile ruck. So that's my tactical strength fitness test that I created for that book, and it has been very useful for people that are preparing for such selections. We had one of our guys get through the HRT selection, and it was that type of training was very helpful. All right, hey Stu Smith, AFSW, going to start adding OCP tops and then full. Okay, so you're going in uniform, probably 3-minute intervals. I've been about 5 or 6 strokes with booties on, 2 minutes. How many more with full camis? I don't know. You just need to get in there and do it. Practice it, because it is shocking how much harder swimming with pants, tops, booties is. It's just so awkward. So as long as you can get over that awkward phase of swimming with clothes on, it gets a lot easier. Um, I would really work hard to, be able to spend 30, 40 minutes in the water treading, doing underwaters, swimming freestyle, swimming side stroke, whatever stroke you need to do, with fins, without fins, with camis on, and just get used to it. Every swim should have clothes on. All right. Maybe warm up a little bit without clothes just to maintain your 500-meter times and your lead arm, trail arm swims or your CSS with fin swims. But then towards the end, half of your workout, put on a pair of camis and just get used to it. It is simply, that's what you have to do. Let's see here. Um, Jackson, that thing has been released for over a year. I think we talked about rhabdo and Bortak because that was the problem. One of the guys was one of the instructors were having about their candidates getting rhabdo. So if you do a Google search, Bortak, rhabdo, Stu Smith, and boom, look at that, comes right up. It is podcast number 70. Tactical Fitness Report number 70, rhabdo prevention, Bortak, special ops, other training. So we talk a little bit about that. I'm going to slide that in here. But yeah, you can just go to a YouTube channel and search it. You'll find it. Jeff and I talk a lot about that training and our conversation that we had with the Bortak trainer. Let's see here. Do you think that doing infantry, Marine Reserves, or National Guard infantry while going college or working a job will make you better off joining SOF later? Sure. I don't I don't see why not. I think the more experience you can have with military, military rucking, load bearing, and all those things, working together as a small unit team, all those things are going to be very helpful for you. Hello, Stu. Can you explain in detail, maybe, on how to eat in your 12 Weeks to Buds book, 12-week fitness book? As a weightlifter trying to cut, how does your 6 meals throughout the day help lose mass? So you're trying to lose mass, so you're going to have to eat less. I mean, most people don't have your issues. Most people need to eat more so they don't lose weight. Because you're going to be burning, put it this way, every one of those workouts in that program are probably going to burn anywhere between 1,000 to maybe 1,500 calories because they're long. They're long. You're running, you're rucking, you're swimming, you're doing a lot of repetitions. You're going to burn anywhere from 1,000 to 1,500 calories in a workout. So that simply means you're going to have a pretty decent deficit going into the day, as long as you keep that deficit up there. Being a male, probably late teens, early 20s, you're probably going to burn 1,800 to 2,000 calories a day just living. So now you have a window of, let's say, 3,500 calories to eat. My recommendation, or 3,000 to 3,500 calories to eat. My recommendation is to eat less than that. I would say somewhere between, maybe see if you can get by with 2,000. Might be tough, but you may need to go up to 2,500. But still, you're probably going to have a 500 calorie a day deficit, which will mean you will lose 1 pound a week if you do that. So that's how you lose weight. It's calories in, calories out. And it's tough to be losing the type of mass, especially if you're losing muscle mass. You literally need to run your ass off and just do more cardio. Probably get out of the weight room if you're trying to lose some total mass. Yeah, I bet you do have some anxiety with underwaters and full camis. It's freaky. You got to get used to it though. Don't do it alone because it's freaky. How often do SEALs work with MARSOC? You know what? I don't know. When I was in, we did not have MARSOC, but we did do some training with recon. So I would imagine the process is even more smooth now to make those mission sets and trainings work well since they're all part of SOCOM now. Um, I don't know how often, to be honest, but it is not never. I'll give you that. Is Buds any different with the construction going on there right now? Well, it's not any easier. I will tell you that. But yeah, I'm sure it's different. Places where you train are not the same as before. Grinder is a different grinder. Running to chow hall is probably different. Let's see. Let me see here. Okay, morning. 5 months into service doing. Whoa. Hmm. So got hit with a lot of bad news recently. Had to clear my head and focus up for this. Any advice? Yeah. I would be a little more general whenever you discuss any work you do with DevGru, whether you are trying out for something or you are there. Not even mention it. Just say you're working with a, you know, selection for a program. People will understand what you're saying. Um, yeah, man, you got to learn to compartmentalize. I mean, life is full of bad news. We all have it, whether it's your girlfriend dumping you, parents dying, you know, sucks. Um, you got to move on if you want to do this. I mean, it has stopped many people before and said, you know what, I'm not in the right headspace. I'm not going to be safe when I'm doing this training. I need to go. So you need to make that call. If you're not in the right headspace, you may need to try to come back later when you are. This isn't something that you can be distracted and be able to do well. These selections and these jobs are potentially dangerous for you and for others. um, if your head's not in it, you're done, and they'll notice it. So shake it off, find a compartment for it, or move on and try it again later. Sorry that has happened to you. Let's see. I'm at Swick. We don't get pool time to practice. You need to go find a pool. I mean, there's pools all over the place in Coronado. Go find one. Get some Liberty hours and go do it. I mean, I used to swim in that pool right down the street. Swim in the ocean, swim in the bay. You can do a couple different things. Hey Stu, have you heard of a dive mo or 800 division potentially coming back? I have not. Additionally, what is the status of prep like? How can guys avoid detraining severely heading into phase? Boot camp is going to detrain you. Now, I will say this: I just got a letter from one of our guys, and they said that the his instructors are being very cool and even set up a pull-up bar, dip bar in the barracks so they can get some extra PT whenever they have time to get extra PT. Um, so that was pretty cool. Um, but it's part of the deal. My advice is go into boot camp in such good shape, like so crazy shape that you're crushing the PST, you're highly prepared, almost in a point of overtraining, and then use that boot camp as a taper. Try to fit in some workouts whenever you can. And then by the time you get to prep, you can start having a lot more time to train, not only with prep, but even on your own. I send guys workouts all the time that are at prep that are trying to do a little bit more to get in shape before they get started. I will say this, some guys came back out of boot camp faster than they were um, before boot camp. So they actually did a better mile and a half. One of those reasons was because they were probably running too much at the time when they went in and then had some time to recover. But he said he couldn't run. In fact, he timed it. And I think he ran like 10 miles in 10 weeks at Navy boot camp. But he did a lot of lunges, and lunging, he says, saved him for his legs. So he just, anytime he got an opportunity to do lunges, he lunged and came out really strong. And then on other days, he would do upper body stuff whenever he got an opportunity. Do you see SEALs adding reserve units in the future and adding more base locations? Don't know. They have 2 reserve units right now, but they're different. You have to go through active duty SEAL training first, be active duty, then go to the reserves. You can't go to like National Guard or Navy Reserves and go to Buds and then come back to your hometown as a SEAL that's in the reserves. They don't do it that way. I don't see that ever happening, to be honest with you. I know that SEALs have reserves, but you have to be a full-time. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I don't see that happening. Thank you, Joe. Bought your Air Force Special Ops book. Excited to get started with it. That's a fun one. And I just updated it with the new OFT in there too. So there's a whole new section that'll help you with the operator fitness test, which, by the way, I really like. That's a badass test. If you haven't seen the operator fitness test, I wrote it in that article I just shared a minute ago. The operator fitness test, I'll just read it to you real quick here, is a 3-mile ruck, standing long jump, 5-10-5 pro agility test, trap bar deadlift, weighted pull-ups. I'm sorry, max pull-ups, 100-yard farmer carry sprint with 2 53-pound kettlebells. So 100 yards and over 100-pound farmer carry sprint, one in each hand, and then a 300-yard shuttle run, and then a 1,500-meter swim with fins using side, CSS, or lead arm, trail arm, side stroke. This is they are taking this now somewhere in the pipeline. Not sure exactly when and where they take that test, but you should be able to do that test as well, because you will see it before you are officially an operator. Before your graduation, you will see it. Let's see. Mr. Smith, what's your take on the full body workout versus upper body lower split versus bro split? Good questions. Trying to drop weight, get lean. I'm a former strongman powerlifter, too many injuries. I do all of them. Like today, I did a full body workout. It's called the Murph. It works push, pull, legs, all in one big setting with some running to top it off. I usually do upper body, lower body splits, however, just because I've when I do full body days, it seems like my recovery is really hampered for a couple of days, especially if I'm lifting. If I'm doing calisthenics, not that big a deal, and cardio. But if I'm lifting, like if I were to do bench, squat, weighted pull-ups, or deadlifts all in one day, it would crush me. Or it does. I mean, I've done it before, and it's the amount of recovery it takes is, it's a mobility day. It might even be a cardio only day before I'm even in the weight room again. That's why I like the upper body, lower body split, because I'll typically do upper body one day, lower body the next, mobility day. Then I'll do upper body the next day, lower body the next. And then depending on how I'm feeling and what I feel like I need to work on, that sixth workout will either be a third upper body day, mostly calisthenics based, or it will be a greater cardio day with like a run, swim, ruck, all three, maybe two of the three, um, or maybe an obstacle course working on some technique stuff. So it just kind of depends. I like to do 5 real good ones and use that sixth one as it depends. Do I need another mobility day? That's another good question I like to ask myself on Saturday. If I'm just wiped out, I'll do a mobility day instead of go run, 5 miles with an obstacle course race in it. But if you're a big guy, I would definitely go with more non-impact cardio than the cardio of running. You could walk, but even then, I would try to take gravity off of your knees and hips, and your body will thank you for that, especially as you are really heavy. I mean, just think if you're 50 pounds overweight, and a lot of big powerlifting guys are, that's you might as well be rucking 50 pounds all the time. So just going for a walk is a 50-pound ruck. So think of it that way and try to go more non-impact cardio, and you'll feel better. You won't have to take breaks from getting aches and pains and injuries as much. Um, but if you wanted to do some run, walk, ruck, whatever, I would treat it like a triathlete would, where 2/3 of your cardio will be non-impact cardio and 1/3 of your cardio being impact, running, rucking, things like that. That's how I do it. I'd personally go with cows and cardio for a little while and just crush some repetitions, get some walking in there, maybe throw some swimming in there or biking, and see how that changes your body composition for a little while before, and just lay off the weights for a little while. Just give it a good 12, 16-week cycle of that and see how you feel. I think you'll see a big difference. And then don't skip mobility day. That is a life-changing exercise day, and you can get a lot out of it. In fact, I'm going to put this in here for all of you. It doesn't matter if you're young or old, mobility day is life-changing. Highly recommend it. Highly recommend it. All right, what do you think accounts? What do you think accounts for officers having such a higher success rate than enlisted for all accession sources? And what can enlisted do to emulate the way officers prep for buds in general? Well, you got to understand, officers and the ones I coach here at the Naval Academy, they have 4 years to train. I mean, I am putting people under logs and boats 3 years before they even get to buds. We're doing PSTs like it's a rest day, right? And we're just crushing stuff. So we have time. One, the average enlisted guy is probably 18, 19 years old, completely too immature to make it through buds as a group. There are some remarkable 18, 19-year-olds every buds class that proved me wrong, but that number is so small. I mean, I'm talking about less than 5% teenagers make it through buds every class. You may start off with over 100 teenagers when you start, and you'll probably graduate a handful, less than 5, I would say. I think we did that. Like we started with 120 people, and we had like 95 Not quite 100. I think we had almost 100 teenagers. I think it was 95, to be honest. I just remember looking and says, "Man, everybody's so young." And I was 22, so me calling people young back then was, it was rare. Um, but they were just right out of high school, and they just didn't have the maturity, the world experiences to get through. 4 years of college. People make fun of people who go to college, but let me tell you, 4 years of college sucks. It's the worst 4 years of my life. You know, I would do it all over again because I learned a lot about failure and picking myself up and meeting and exceeding the standard. Um, so I think there's a lot to be said for the officer crowd just because they're older. They've been through more than high school and high school sports. They've actually had some world experiences. Um, they accomplished a few more things besides graduating high school. Um, so anyway, that's my 2 cents on it. If you could write an article on workouts to be done in basic or prep, that would be great. I already done that, and you could find it as because when I really started writing it was when people were had to do a 2-week quarantine, then go to basic. So if you do a search called quarantine workout Stu Smith, countless. I shouldn't say countless. Um, 2-week quarantine workout ideas. Here's a good one. Now, this is a military.com article. I might have another one from mine, um, from my site that might be a little more detailed. Um, let's see. Quarantine workout. Yeah. Last week before boot camp. That's a good one, too. But there's a couple out there. If you just Google it, put my name in it, you'll find some boot camp workouts, um, quarantine workouts, Stu Smith. You might be able to piece something together. But there's probably 5 articles on that topic out there. In general, how many miles per day per week do you think someone should be running consistently before they ship out for any SOF selection? Good question. I will go, I'm going to say it depends just because, someone who's an endurance athlete will probably want to run 50 plus, and because that's what they've done. They've done cross country where they've run 75 miles a week and think that 50 is too easy, but they're neglecting their strength and they need to be in the weight room. So I would probably have that guy down to probably 25 miles a week and focusing solely on getting in the weight room, getting stronger, getting bigger, and not burning all this muscle that he's trying to put up by running another 50 miles a week. Believe it or not, there are people that run 50, 75 miles a week getting ready for these things, and they wonder why they get crushed by logs and boats and rucks. Just they like doing stuff that they like to do, and that's stupid, right? You got to work on your weakness. You got to first assess your weaknesses and then let that determine how many miles a week you're going to run. For me, coming out of a powerlifting football player background, anything I did over 100 meters was considered long distance until I got good at running and progressed logically over a couple of years. I was doing that triathlon model where 2/3 of my cardio was non-impact, and then started ramping it up so where I could actually run more and not hurt myself. But I was up to 40 miles a week before I left because I needed it. And I will tell you this, I didn't lift weights for 18 months before Buds. And there was not one time where I wished I had lifted more weights at Buds. I had wished I'd run more or run faster. In hindsight, it's like I needed to work on my comfortable 7-minute mile pace. So I have seen guys get through Buds perfectly fine with only 25 miles a week. Um, but I would say on average, most people get up to about 35 miles a week for buds. Any other SOF selection, if you're going to be rucking a lot, I would say, being able to hit a 6-minute mile for a timed run, being able to hit a 7-minute mile for a longer distance paced run, like a 4-mile run or a 5-mile run, like you do before Ranger School's a 5-mile run. If you can do that in 35 minutes, that's great. If you can do a 4-mile timed run in 28, that's great. Um, those are good paces to be able to do, but you want to be able to do that easily. You don't want a 7-minute mile to be a gut check. So that's where the training is needed. It's not needed by adding another 20 miles a week of 8-9 minute miles. It's needed in you getting that 8-minute mile pace down to a 7-minute mile pace for 4 to 5 miles. That's where people screw up. In fact, I've written a running program around that philosophy. And it's called Running Plan to Get You Through To and Through Selection. And I think this one is only set at 20 miles a week, but you can add it. You can see where you can add more miles, 25, 30 miles a week if you wanted to, just add some more sets. My buddy who wants to join, but has been taking ADH meds for a year or so. Does a permanent DQ him? It is likely. Look, the new MEP system that looks into your pharmaceutical record, yes, it will find that. You can't hide it anymore. You used to be able to hide that one. You can't anymore. But even then, if they found out, you were done. Now, there are waivers, um, depending on how long ago you did it. Like if you did it in your early teens because you were just a crazy eighth grader, might misdiagnosed as ADHD or whatever. That's a different story than taking it through college, right? Or through your senior year of high school. You may need some time off of that before anybody accepts you into the military. But these things change. These things are pretty fluid. My recommendation is to see what MEP says. I will say this. We had a guy that's in the Air Force Special Warfare pipeline right now. He is a son of a Air Force officer. So he had TRICARE. So they had all of his medical records. And it took him over a year to get waivers for all the things that he had done, whether it was a concussion or it was ADHD meds or asthma meds. I can't remember what it was, but he had to spend a lot of time getting waivers for that. But it eventually worked, and he's in. So um, don't don't necessarily take no for an answer. There are waivers for things, and you can keep working the waiver system if you find a recruiter that's willing to work with you. That may also require you to go to another recruiting office and try again. Good questions. Looks like this article did not go through. I wonder why. Um, let's see. As an older guy, 35, do you suggest I keep most of my runs slow for general fitness? Um, that's not necessary. Yeah, I like to run fast. Um, still, I wish I was 35. I'm 53. Still run fast. Um, not as fast as I did when I was 35, but yeah, I personally after 30, let's just say after 40, I really started doing more non-impact cardio versus just running. So I would add biking, swimming. I've always swum, so um, swimming was always part of it. But I'd add another non-impact cardio activity to my cardio base that day versus just run for another 30 minutes. Instead, I would bike for 30 minutes. Helps a lot. Have I ever studied delta selection? Had some guys go through it over the years, successfully, and then sadly not successfully. But it was a weird one. You know, it was that very last ruck they do that is just they don't tell you the pace you need to keep. They don't tell you how long it's going to be, and then at the end you cross the finish line, and they tell you you didn't meet the time. So two other guys in front of him met the time, but he did not. And he was the third guy in, and they only selected two at that time. So those are types of things that occur. Um, it's a lot of rucking, a lot of running, but it's also by that time, you know, you've been an operator for a while. So they're testing your operational abilities as well. I mean, you could be the best athlete ever, crush all that stuff, but you won't make it through if you're not, you know, skilled with weaponry and moving and shooting and communicating and being relaxed in stressful situations. Is it possible to get into the Naval Academy after an associate's degree? Yes, you have until age 22 to enter the Naval Academy. In fact, instead of asking me, why don't you go to the Naval Academy admissions website, which I will put it right here, usna.edu. Click the admissions link, and that will tell you what you can do. There are people who enlisted right out of high school and spent a year and a half, maybe 2 years as an enlisted person, applied to Naval Academy or West Point for that matter, if you're in the Army, and got accepted. And they are prior enlisted midshipmen who still have 4 years to go through. Now, here's the deal, because you have 2 years of college, that doesn't matter. You're going to still go through 4 years of the Naval Academy, regardless of your college experience. Um, so you have 4 years of more college to do. There are people that do that. A lot of people go to college for a year, maybe even two, and reapply because they didn't make it the first time, and they come back and they get it all done. Um, in fact, Jimmy Carter, President Carter, was a Naval Academy graduate who spent 3 years at Georgia Tech and decided to join the Naval Academy and went straight into the Naval Academy. And he just happened to join a class that was uh, expedited graduation. So it was a 3 year plan. They crammed 4 years of college into 3 years because it was in the middle of World War II. So think he was one of the last classes that had that going on while the war was underway. Um, but yeah, it is very possible to do that. Advice for flat-footed runners. You know what? I don't know. I mean, there's some special shoes that you can get. I would go on YouTube and listen to some physical therapists talk about flat-footed runners and the types of things that you can do to work on your arch. I've seen some things where people are actually working their muscles in their foot to build a slight of an arch. And then there will be some orthotics that you most likely will need to prevent you from, you know, pronating or supinating, whatever flat-footed runners do. Um, but I that's where I would go first, because I think that would be a um, really good lesson for you and what is possible. I mean, I've seen flat-footed guys get through Ranger School, so it can happen. A lot of operators I talk to tell me not to show up in the course in peak shape so you can improve while in the course. Yeah, that's true. You want to be in peak shape, but maybe not burned out. So my suggestion would be build up to peak shape, drop down a notch so the rebuild is nothing more than prior muscle memory that's going to get you there versus being down here and thinking, oh, I'm going to get in better shape when I go through selection. And guess what? You actually go down because you suck at something and you neglected something. So my suggestion would be peak, come down a notch, and then be well rested, and then go into it and do it that way. Um, you want to crush things, and but you don't want to be at a way where you're overtrained and you get injured within the first 4 weeks. I think a lot of people do that. Nothing wrong with going there crushing it, but having a slight taper cycle prior to going is what I would recommend versus thinking you're going to get in better shape in a selection, because most selections don't build you, they're breaking you, right? Because the volume is just too much to recover from. But at the end, after doing it for 6 months, a lot of people are faster and stronger. And yeah, that's the beauty of being young and eating well and actually, being on diving and breathing in pure oxygen for, 2 months of training. All those things, sleeping whenever you can, all those things will help you recover. So it's all about recovery and your ability to recover from the stresses that they put on you. But if you're burned out and overtrained, um, you're not going to be able to recover from that very well. Probably going to injure yourself. So there's a difference between peak shape and overtrained. So you just have to figure out what side of that line you're on. Did any of your students who were 300-pound have fear of dealing with loss? As I have a fear of loose skin due to dropping 300 pounds. You know what? Some people have. I will say this: the younger you are, the easier that is to lose and not see the effects of loose skin. You may want to put on a lot more muscle mass too, because that will tighten areas where fat used to be versus just try to get skinny and lose muscle and fat. So um, yeah, I've seen folks that look like they could be bodybuilders after losing 100 pounds. But I've also seen folks who have a little extra skin too. Go figure. I'm not really sure what the difference is. I do feel though that you may have to you may be replacing some of that weight with muscle versus actually losing weight. So it's kind of you might have a weight gain in there in order to keep the skin tighter. But there are procedures for that. There may even be some lotion that you can put on it too. I don't know. That's not something I've ever really had to deal with personally or even professionally as a trainer. Guy died recently at Buds. Yes. Do you think they will add more safety precautions or will it get overlooked like these things often do? No, they're not getting overlooked. They're actually added safety precautions to it all. They actually have whole bunch of new instructors in first phase. Um, Pretty much got rid of the old ones. They have made it a point to have a warrant officer as a safety officer at every evolution at Buds. So, um, yeah, it is not getting overlooked. Thank you, Justin. A lot of fitness gurus emphasize the importance of nose breathing for both running and what are your thoughts? Yes, I like nose breathing. I sleep nose breathing. I run nose breathing. exhale through my mouth, though. But I will tell you this, you're going to have to learn to be a mouth breather also, because if you're trying to go to buds, you're going to be swimming with a scuba mask on that doesn't allow your nose to inhale. You can exhale still, but it gets your mask foggy, so you don't want to. So you're a mouth breather with a mask on. So my suggestion is be able to do both. Maybe on land, you focus on your nose, but maybe in the water, you focus on your mouth breathing. It's all about being diversified in your training because you got to get good at everything, not just great at one thing to the detriment of others. I'm 5'8", 150. PST scores are above average. Excellent. Would you recommend gaining weight? Um, you're a little on the small side, I would say. Uh, See if you could put on 15 pounds. See how that feels on your PST scores. Um, you'll be glad to have some muscle mass on when you have a boat and log. But it also depends on your scores. I've seen a lot of 150-pound dudes that are really strong that could do 2, 3 times their body weight in squats and deadlifts. Those guys don't need to worry about, um, logs and boats. They're plenty strong, right? So it really kind of depends on your body to strength ratio on there. If you're a 150-pound cross country runner, I would definitely put on some mass and get in the weight room immediately. What do you think about the new Top Gun? I haven't seen it yet, but I'm going to. I'm hoping to see it probably this week. I will be honest with you. The first Top Gun got me interested in the Navy 36 years ago. So that when that happened, I started really focusing on Naval Academy and getting my grades good in high school so I could do that and play sports. Played 3 sports every year. Was recruited with football. So I did everything I could to make myself a better candidate for the Naval Academy. And it was largely because of that first Top Gun. I wanted to play college football there and I wanted to be a pilot. And I did neither, right? So life has a way of kicking you in the nuts and making you figure out a new plan sometimes, but still made it through there and wound up going to buds afterwards and wouldn't have changed a thing. So, but I will give Top Gun full credit for me considering the Navy. Got disqualified for red green color blindness. That sucks. After getting offered a contract, now I'm kind of floating without a goal. Well, let me tell you, all of my guys who had red green color blindness and found out at boot camp that they were no longer eligible to go to buds, they got out of the Navy. Took about 3 weeks to do it. So if you found out before boot camp, good for you because that's a pain in the ass. I would just take your stuff over to the Army recruiter and say you want to be a Green Beret because all of my guys who have red green color deficiency are in the Green Beret pipeline now. And I plan on going to their graduation down there in Fort Bragg here in the next, probably a year before they're done. For the question about loose skin, I lost over 100 pounds. Only issue I found for training when my hand sometimes gets caught on my stomach during arm recovery of CSS, which can mess up my sequence. Yeah, fortunately, I don't know much about that whole process and how that works. I have seen people go through surgeries to get it fixed, though, if it's that serious. So I don't know, man. It's kind of out of my ballpark of expertise and experience. Would LASIK be required before buds? I can't imagine contacts or glasses being. You need to read some more about the process. Go to sealswick.com and read. You can get LASIK waivers if you don't meet the eye you don't meet the I standards. I'm not answering any more questions that can be easily found on sealswick.com. In fact, I'm going to do this for you. Look at this. Sealswick.com. Go look at it. All right, last few questions. I'm currently signed up for a 100-kilometer walk in 24 hours. That sounds fun. Sounds boring, but sounds fun. Sounds like a good, fun challenge. Should I do specific training towards that without weight, or do you think I can keep doing like 40-kilometer rucks and long walks without weight? Yeah, I think a combo of both would be fine, especially if you're trying to um, um, especially if you're trying to prepare for military service where you need to ruck. I definitely wouldn't do it with only no weight. I would imagine, you going for 100 kilometers, which is like 50 miles here. You're going to need to um, practice, some of those mileage just to learn a strategy of, foot care and hydration. And yeah, like Uke says down there, socks, foot care is very important. Um, what boots you're going to wear, what shoes you're going to wear. You're going to trade out every now and then, depending on the terrain. Um, so yeah, I would say it's more strategy based than anything else. But walking, for 50 miles is not that challenging compared to running 50 miles or 100 kilometers. So it's going to be a little less impactful than the running. But yeah, absolutely. If you're still training for rucks, keep doing your rucks. Other SF programs require normal color perception. I'll have to talk to a recruiter. Talk to a recruiter and see. I mean, the standards, yeah, everybody has normal color perception, but the standards may vary significantly from service to service. Marines are going to be same as the Navy, typically. Um, the SEALs, it's a little uh, more tight, but you could still be a regular Navy guy and join the Navy with that kind of colorblind. So there are jobs that you can do in the military with color blindness, and you could also do federal law enforcement and SWAT teams and BORTAC and things like that might have a reduced color perception out there too. So don't give up hope. Keep trying. Find another one to go. Like, put it this way, I've had 2 guys this past year go to boot camp, not pass the red green color blindness test, and another one, sorry, a third for depth perception. Didn't pass that. Got kicked out of the Navy, and they are in the Army recruiting pipeline now. So they met those standards. Yeah, Mikhail, if you've been rucking for a couple of years, that's good. I would definitely walk significant mileage without weight as well. So you're preparing for that, but at the same time, you're also maintaining your rucking ability. Is 5'8" considered small in SF? This is gonna be my last question, folks. Oh, might have one more. I wouldn't say it's small. I'd say it's average, right? I would say most of my team and class were probably in the 5'8", to 6 foot range. Obviously, there were some shorter, and obviously, there were some bigger. So it's a pretty diverse group. I mean, you're going to have guys on the shorter end and the lighter end. You're going to have guys on the bigger, heavier end. You have guys in the middle. That's pretty much the average guy. I'd say 5'10", 180. Pretty common weight. Let's see. Question about stretching. I know that's dynamic stretching. You can do more often. You can do static stretching too. It's often only recommended once a day so that you don't overstretch. Well, I mean, it's all relative. You look at someone who does yoga all the time, that person is hyper flexible and can stretch all day, right? But if you look at someone who is not very flexible at all, overstretching can cause injuries. So I tend to do this. I focus a day on dynamic stretching, rolling, foam rolling, and static stretching. 2 days. So I'll do it like Wednesday and Sunday. And then throughout the rest of the week, at the end of my workouts, I will do about 5, maybe 10 minutes of some static stretching, and I'm done for the day. But that's me. Everybody has a different way to do it, right? That's just what I do. And I don't think it's too much. The mobility cycles on the 2 days are been very helpful with me preventing injury for the last 13 years. So yeah, it's all good. You're welcome, Andreas. In fact, if you've stuck around this long, I do appreciate it. If I missed your question, you can just email me, stu@stewsmith.com. Go to my website, stewsmithfitness.com. And if you want to buy anything, you can use a coupon code COMPETE20 and save 20%. Books, ebooks, other training. And let me know if I can help you. Now, tomorrow I will be on, and I'm going to do what I call my 2 for Tuesday plan. It's a live Q&A, 9 o'clock. And I will also show some combat swimmer stroke videos that were submitted this week. If you want me to take a look at your combat swimmer stroke, I will do that. If you don't mind me putting it on a live, I will do that. Otherwise, I will just comment on them personally with an email answer to how you do the CSS. So there we go. I am done for the morning. You guys enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I will catch you guys tomorrow if you guys want to chat a little bit about training and swimming, learn how not to swim. All right, folks, I'll see you later.